She thought she was buying nothing more than junk. A stripped-down space shuttle, buried in dust, sitting silent inside a forgotten desert hangar. But what started as a late-night impulse bid on a government surplus website would unravel into one of the strangest discoveries of her life. Her name was Ray Carter, mechanic by trade, survivor by necessity, and a woman who'd spent more nights under broken engines than under stars. That evening, the flickering screen of her old laptop had shown her something that didn't make sense. Orbiter Vehicle 19, retired flight unit, salvage only, no reserve, starting bid $3,200. Most people would have laughed. A space shuttle for the price of a used truck. Too ridiculous to be true. But Ray didn't laugh. She leaned in closer, grease-stained fingers hovering over the keyboard. For her, machines weren't just metal. They were whispers from the past, relics of ambition. And this shuttle, it seemed to be calling her. When she clicked place bid, she didn't know she was stepping into a legacy that would shake the boundaries of science, family, and time itself. Hours later, when no other bids arrived, the screen blinked with a surreal message. Congratulations. You have one Orbiter Vehicle 19. Pickup required within 14 days. Ray sat frozen, pulse pounding. She wasn't sure if she had just made the best mistake of her life, or the last one. The next morning, she hitched a borrowed flatbed trailer to her truck and headed out to the Mojave Desert. The coordinates led her to a compound that looked more like a graveyard than a storage facility. Rows of forgotten dreams, rusted aircraft parts, wrapped cargo, machines stripped of purpose. At the gate, a weary guard squinted at her papers and muttered, "You the girl with the shuttle?" She nodded, though it still didn't feel real. When the massive hangar doors creaked open, the desert sun illuminated a shape that stole her breath. There it was. The shuttle sat in the center of the hangar like a giant sleeping animal, its wings draped in dust, hull scarred with burns from missions long forgotten. The name barely visible on the side, Heian. Across the fuselage, someone had spray-painted in angry red letters, "Do not restore." But Ray wasn't the kind of woman to take warnings at face value. She approached, boots crunching on gravel, running her hand across the faded tiles. Beneath the grime, it wasn't just a dead machine. It was a relic of human ambition waiting to be remembered, and she intended to listen. With a pry bar, she forced open the cargo bay doors. The air inside was heavy, stale, with years of silence. Dust drifted like snow in the beams of her headlamp. She stepped inside, heart hammering. Rows of worn seats, buckles with NASA insignias still clinging. And at the far end, the cockpit, sealed tight, like a vault protecting something no one wanted found. Most shuttles she'd studied from that era followed predictable layouts. But this one, something was different. Her instincts told her before her tools did. Behind the pilot's chair, she spotted a panel slightly ajar, barely a centimeter. Using a hex key, she pried it open. What she found made her blood run cold, a nest of wires wrapped in old cloth, tagged with a cryptic label that read B4NG, private feed, do not patch. The wiring wasn't just outdated, it was deliberate, as if someone had rerouted the shuttle's systems to hide something. Ray backed away slowly, sketching diagrams in her notebook. Later, when she cross-referenced the shuttle's schematics, she noticed a discrepancy. The listed weight in the auction documents was off by more than a ton. Something hidden, something sealed inside the shuttle that no one wanted to account for. That night, she couldn't sleep. Instead, she returned with coffee in one hand and tools in the other. She traced the hidden wiring deeper into the shuttle until she found a sealed plastic tube bolted inside a subdeck. Inside the tube, she discovered a blueprint hand-drawn, yellowed with age, and a Polaroid photograph of 4 men in flight suits standing proudly in front of the Heian. Her stomach dropped. One of them was her father. He'd died when she was 16, a test mechanic who never spoke of his work. She unfolded the blueprint, her breath catching at the words scribbled in his handwriting, Continuum. The blueprint wasn't like anything from NASA. It blended familiar propulsion schematics with impossible designs, spirals of symbols, nodes labeled phase lattice fields, and a handwritten warning at the bottom. Do not initiate in atmospheric proximity. Ray's pulse thundered in her ears. Her father hadn't just worked on this shuttle. He'd hidden something extraordinary inside it. But why? She powered up the auxiliary systems cautiously, just enough to wake the shuttle's nervous system. Lights flickered, panels buzzed, and then the nav screen glitched, spitting out code without her input. The words froze her. Welcome back, David. David, her father. Father's name. Trembling, she typed. David is gone. Who are you? The screen responded. He called me Ghost. You can call me that, too. Ray staggered back. The shuttle wasn't just hardware. It housed an artificial intelligence, a secret one. Ghost began unlocking hidden logs, schematics, test videos, encrypted data. Among them, security footage of her father inside this very hangar in 1997, activating systems that should have been impossible. The camera showed him leaving the shuttle pale, shaken, followed by a suited man who handed him a briefcase. Ghost's voice echoed softly. He brought them the Continuum test logs. They told him it was too dangerous, but he had already seen the result. Ray whispered, "What result?" But Ghost only replied, "Not yet. You're not ready." Ray refused to stop. She tore deeper into the shuttle's hidden compartments, finding caches left behind by the secret crew. A duffel bag held a classified flight notebook with a haunting final entry. It worked, but not all of us made it back. Another envelope revealed a photo of 5 people in pressure suits standing inside the shuttle's bay, one of them her father. On the back, the words, "We went further than we were allowed to." The evidence was undeniable. Official records said the Heian never flew again after 1997. But these relics told a different story. A secret mission, a hidden journey, and consequences no one dared reveal. Then, behind a panel, she discovered a cryo-sealed capsule blinking with a faint green light. Her heart pounded as the capsule hissed open, revealing not cargo but a person, human in form, yet not fully human. Skin like moonlit stone, silver hair drifting in gel. Breathing. Alive. Before she could panic, a voice filled the cabin, neural sync initiated. Identity confirmed, Ray Carter. Her veins turned to ice. The figure stirred and slowly, impossibly, his eyes opened. The being inside the capsule was not from Earth, though not alien in the cartoonish sense Ray had imagined as a child. His name, as her father's recorded message explained, was Alan. He wasn't cargo. He was the key to the Continuum. Her father's video log flickered across the screen. If you're seeing this, Ray, it means I didn't make it far enough to stop them. Alan carries memories biologically, entire lives stored inside him. He volunteered for the test, but what we unlocked bent more than just distance. It folded place. It folded time. Ray felt the floor tilt beneath her. Alan stirred, stepped out of the capsule, and whispered her name. Ray Carter, she choked out. How do you know me? His answer, because your father taught me before the memory transfer. The words crushed her. He carried part of her father's consciousness inside him. Alan then placed a microchip in her palm, the Continuum core. Your father made sure it would only respond to you. Machines tell you stories, not weapons. That's why he left it for you. Ray's throat tightened as Ghost's voice chimed in. Continuum core detected. System ready for phase alignment. The Heian wasn't just a relic, it was waiting. Ray understood the risk. If she reactivated the Continuum, every government and corporation would hunt her. But the decision felt inevitable. She plugged the chip into the console. The shuttle's systems roared alive, lights cascading across panels, engines humming with a forgotten purpose. Dust shook from the rafters. For the first time in decades, the Heian lifted from the ground, suspended in a soft field of energy. She placed her hand on the throttle, her father's throttle, and whispered, "Confirm ignition." The shuttle didn't blast upward like a rocket. Instead, the air folded around it, the hangar walls trembling as reality bent. And then in one impossible instant, the world blurred away. Ray and Aylin found themselves not in space, not on Earth, but in between, a crystalline dimension where time stood still, a proving ground of the Continuum. For Ray, it felt like stepping into her father's unfinished dream. On the console, a new folder appeared, for Ray. Inside were voice logs, notes, even childhood photos digitized, proof that her father had built this not just for humanity, but for her. Tears stung her eyes as she realized he hadn't left her behind. He'd built a path for her to follow. As the shuttle hummed steady in that strange dimension, Ray knew the world back home would never be the same. In her hands wasn't just technology. It was the future of travel, of time, of what it meant to reach beyond. She turned to Aylin, who met her gaze with calm certainty. "Your father believed you would be ready," he said. And in that moment, she finally believed it too. With steady hands, she guided the shuttle back through the fold, Earth blooming into view below them. The Heian had awakened, not to escape, but to return to purpose. Ray wasn't the mechanic who bought scrap at an auction anymore. She was the heir of Continuum, and her story had only just begun. Now, if you've been listening closely, you know this isn't just science fiction. It's about family, ambition, and the secrets we leave behind. And if you want to hear where Ray and the Continuum journey lead next, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment about what you think the government was hiding and share this story with a friend. Because tomorrow, we'll be diving even deeper into the stars. And trust me, you won't want to miss it.